Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. As you guys can see, we're talking about Yoimiya today, and believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, characters in Genshin aren't either absolutely broken or complete garbage. There is quite a slew of characters in between, but most people who are very vocal on the internet would like you to believe that a character has to fall under one of these extreme categories, which I guess it just makes things much easier for people to recommend characters and whatnot. But let's be honest here, the truth is always some sort of gray. The thing is, Yoimiya is a wonderful unit for the most part, but she definitely has severe drawbacks that make a lot of people shy away from her. And today we're going to be talking about that, but mostly I want to get this out of people's mind, this idea that Yoimiya is this complete and utter garbage of a unit in comparison to someone like Hu Tao, because from my testings she actually fares very similar to Hu Tao. It says they both deal damage in a very specific way, and Hu Tao happens to have less drawbacks and a slightly higher ceiling, which in layman terms is that she's easier to use and mathematically slightly better. Okay, that's it. But somehow that got spun into this whole idea of Yoimiya being utterly trash, not worth people's time investing into. And I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me that this is just part of this Genshin community's way of protecting their favorite character. So it's usually Hu Tao mains who would go out of their way to say Yoimiya is trash. So today I want to talk a little bit about Yoimiya's original introduction to the game, as well as how she has gotten better and better with time, and likely in the future you will find more ways to fit her into team comp. So if this is your kind of content for Genshin, remember I make videos every day. If not, I stream Wednesdays, Saturdays, 7 p.m, 9 p.m. It's always about Genshin. Subscribe if you'd like to keep up to date with all the news, drama, whatever, character updates, content updates. We pretty much do it all here. All right, so let's talk about Yoimiya. When she first dropped in the very beginning, yeah, she was a character that left much to be desired. There's very few teams, if any, like there's probably one specific team that you can play her and feel like she's worth something at C0 with probably a free-to-play weapon. And even at C0 with her signature weapon, she sometimes didn't feel like she was really living up to that 5-star character label. The units that were required to make her feel good were very limited, and at certain points you almost would say that you absolutely needed a specific character to make her work. And for most people, maybe that's not something that they're looking for when they're pulling a character. After the mathematical tests and videos came out, people realized, oh well, you know, her ceiling is slightly lower than Hu Tao's, which was a character that already existed in the game. So what the hell is even the point of getting this character? And on top of that, she had caveats when it comes to her attack string being way too long, which means that you have to finish her entire attack string to actually benefit from it, which then means that you cannot be interrupted, and the only way to do that was to get a shielding character, and the only shielding character that could consistently protect her without any fail and also slotted into her team without having synergistic issue was Zhongli. And Zhongli at the time was also servicing other characters such as Hu Tao. So at the end of the day, a lot of people said, you know what, it's not worth the hassle. We're just gonna skip her and see if the future holds anything special for Yoimiya. And lo and behold, the first shining spark, the beacon of hope for Yoimiya mains came in the form of a 4-star Geo character, Yunjin. So here's the thing about Yunjin when she was introduced into the game. Yunjin was definitely, without a doubt, a character made for normal attacking units, and at the time, the only unit in the game that was a 5-star, that was an on-field DPS that heavily relied on their attack string. I mean, to the point where it's like the thing that makes and defined the character was Yoimiya. And it could be said that Yunjin was a unit made for Yoimiya. And another beautiful thing is that Yunjin, much like Albedo was for Hu Tao, Yunjin filled that second Geo slot in a Yoimiya team flawlessly. So what ended up happening was people who had Yoimiya started pairing her, of course, with Yunjin and Zhongli, giving her that now double Geo buff, which was not available prior. Prior, though, you were using double Pyro, meaning you were using Yoimiya and Bennett. However, Bennett had an issue. with Yoimiya players. And I'm sure if you played Yoimiya to any degree, you would know the problem is that the circle was too small. What ended up happening was you would use your Bennett burst, and then you use Yoimiya, and then you use her elemental skill, and you shoot. And by the time you were like halfway through your second attack string, you would have to dash forward. Meaning, if you finished your second attack string, you would be edged out for the last few shots, meaning you lose Bennett's buff, or you stop and cut the attack string short, dash forward, and then continue shooting, which in most cases would end your attack string anyways. It was just an absolute nightmare to deal with this situation, because remember, Yoimiya has to finish her attack string. If you're mid attack string and you lose the buff, well, I mean, for most people you would just finish the attack string, because at least that way you'll still get the damage. But it's such an awkward situation to be in, and evidently once Yunjin came out, many people dropped Bennett from Yoimiya teams. So yes, ring the alarm. If you are still using Bennett in your teams for Yoimiya, even though you have Yunjin, try Yunjin with Zhongli. And of course, the only reason you wouldn't do that is if you don't have Zhongli, and you would use Yunjin with another character that could shield. But then, you see, this is the problem with Yoimiya, is that she starts slipping further and further away from being competitive with other options once you take her away from these teams, and this has not changed till this day. Now, that doesn't mean she's a bad character. Yes, she has very, very niche teams that you basically have to fit perfectly to make sure that she gets all the tools she needs to succeed. And speaking of tools, she has received another wonderful addition to that toolkit, and that is in the form of Yelan. And I cannot stress enough how important Yelan has been in Yoimiya's success. And yes, I say success because I do think now, in the current iteration of Yoimiya and her teams with the Abyss, as well as going into the future, potential synergies with Dendro, Yoimiya is going to be a very good character for people to run, especially with her burst skill, synergizing with Dendro for burning, and hopefully Dendro can have wide application. And in conjunction with that, Yoimiya's burst is just going to light everything on fire in a spectacular way. Now, of course, that could be just complete copium. So let's talk about things that actually exist in the game, which is Yelan's new addition, meaning that you actually free Xingqiu from a Yoimiya team. Absolute game changer. You guys might be like, Walrus, again, you're selling it too hard. I am not. You guys have to realize Xingqiu is like a cornerstone in so many good teams at this point, which it's such a blessing that Yelan fits Yoimiya better than Xingqiu does. Yelan at C0 free to play does not fit Hu Tao as well as she does Yoimiya, even though the subtlety of the differences comes from how each of these pyro interacts with hydro application, but as well as how Yoimiya's attack string fits so well with Yelan's ramping attack buff. Now, a lot of people would say the attacking buff isn't that important, and I understand what you mean. It's not the key thing about Yelan's kit. The key thing about Yelan's kit is definitely her hydro application and off-field damage support in conjunction with particle generation, as well as that damage ramping. It's a combination of all these things which makes her really damn good. That ramping buff with Yoimiya on top of Yunjin's attack buffs, atop of double geo buffing her, it's just made her into this absolute tank of a unit with a Zhongli shield, also reducing enemy resistances. What can I say? Yoimiya currently is one of those characters that if you have her, if you play her and you find that she has aged very well, you are somebody who has lived through the ups and downs of Yoimiya. I can guarantee you she felt much less adequate prior to Yelan, and I think Yelan was the first step in the right direction for a character like her. And I think Hoyoverse took a lot of inspiration from the best Hu Tao team, being Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Albedo, and Zhongli. And you would notice there's no freaking healer in that team. Hu Tao heals herself, everybody else is off field. And in the case of Yoimiya, although Yoimiya cannot heal herself, with Zhongli, Yunjin, you practically don't take any damage, really. You just have to understand the limit and breaking point of your shield from Zhongli, and make sure that Abyss 12 doesn't consist of a bunch of anti-shield characters, then Yoimiya teams will flourish. This team actually sets her free from the restrictions of a Bennett burst, also frees Xingqiu into a second team, which actually adds more flexibility to your team building options, and Zhongli with the all resistance shred along with the ramping buff from Yalan's burst just ties a beautiful ribbon much like the one on Yoimiya's back on this new and complete Yoimiya team. I want to let you guys know this character is quite a bit different from her original introduction, and if people are still talking about how crappy she is, how terrible she is, you really have to question what are they getting from saying that. If their name consists of Hu Tao, or if they have a Hu Tao profile picture, I would really second guess and double check the validity of their claims. Not to say that she dethrones Hu Tao, but if you see her usage rate in Abyss, it has shot up. And yes, I know the current Abyss likely favors Yoimiya, but that would also mean it favors other pyro users. Why specifically Yoimiya shooting up? And I just want to let you guys know it's because Hoyoverse has made an effort, patches and patches just to make sure that a character such as Yoimiya doesn't fall behind the meta. And yes, of course, she still has the caveats, but I just want to say that there are many different ways you can build her as well. There are artifact sets that, depending on your RNG and preference, you could build her with different artifacts to gain access to different parts of her kit. Let's say if you want to build Shimenawa's, then you're getting more damage by sealing off her burst skill essentially. But if you want to access her entire kit, but you're willing to take a small hit but also gain more durability through shielding, then you can use the Bull Light set. All this stuff is at your fingertips. She's actually quite flexible, much like Hu Tao is, really, and she's getting closer and closer to this Hu Tao character that many people would like to put on a pedestal. But just because she started off not as strong doesn't mean she can't get any better. All right, keep your eyes open, keep your hearts open for a new waifu to come and take a spot. This has been EroticWalruss. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Yoimiya. Are you pulling for her? Are you skipping her? I know Dendro is coming up, so there's a high chance that people are unfortunately skipping her again for the Archon or other Dendro units, but potentially for those who are thinking of picking her up, has the recent additions of these powerful characters which completes her team changed your mind, or were you always wanting her and you simply just had to make a very tough decision to skip her back in the day? Love to read all your comments about it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, urge you all to stay safe. Peace, bye.